are in Maasrot, Perikimah Mishnah Aleph, the first Mishnah in the third chapter of Maasrot. So we're continuing our discussion about what makes things Kovea the Maasrot. What makes fruit something that's established, that's Gemar Melacha, and that therefore you're chayav in Trumot to Maasrot. So we've learned that one of the things that's Kovea for Maasrot is if you bring them into the bayit, into your house. Remember, we learned in the Psukim, Bi'arti HaKodesh min HaBayit, and bayit, an extension of the bayit, is a chatzer. Chatzer means it's courtyard. So if you bring fruits into your chatzer, then usually that's Kovea for Maasrot, and you can't eat them temporarily. You can't eat them what's called achilat arai. But our Mishnah is a different question. Hama'avir te'enim bechatzero liktzot. What did I pick my figs? I brought them in through the chatzer. I brought them into the chatzer, but I want to bring them to the muktzeh. The muktzeh, remember, is the drying area. So they're not gemar malach. I'm going to dry them out. So for that reason, is it considered gemar melacha vis-a-vis trumot Maasrot? On the one hand, I did bring it to the chatzer. On the other hand, I didn't want to. I brought it to the chatzer only to get them somewhere else. It's only it's a temporary pass-through. Says the Mishnah, Banav u'bnei beito ochlin u'pturin. His sons and the members of his household, his wife, etc., they eat u'pturin, and they don't have to take off trumot Maasrot. Why? Says the Bartanura, the chatzer eno kavat v'davar shelo nimra melachto. Chatzer is kovea only if it's gemar melacha, if you're going to eat it as is. But this is something shelo nimra melachto. So therefore, chatzer is eno kovea. Well, then, if that's true, why is it just his sons, the member of his family? What about him? Avalhu, the Bartanur explains, he asur le'achol ela b'makom she'osin ha'ktziot. The only place he can eat it is in the muktzeh itself, not in the chatzer. Why? Mishum dim b'makomo nikar shelo nimra melachto. Because when it's in the muktzeh, then everybody can tell it's a nikar, it's recognizable that it's not gemar melachto. Ushelo bimkomo eno nikar, but if it's not in bimkomo, if it's not in the muktzeh, in the regular, if the te'inim are sitting in the chatzer, you left them in the yard, nobody knows. Remember, they just look like figs, so nobody knows. Are these figs that you're going to dry out or figs that you want to eat? And it's not recognizable. So then you go the other way. Well, if it's not recognizable, then how come his children can eat it? His children can eat it even in the yard, not in the muktzeh. Because they don't have the right to make the choice. The figs are sitting there. Only the balabait, only the dad can decide, wait, am I going to eat the figs, serve them for dinner, or are we going to put them in the muktzeh? The kevan shedat aviyem lasot ktziot mutarin. Since the dad decided, I'm going to use it for ktziot, then the children can eat it. Avalhu shebi adoli malech, but the balabait, the household, the manager, the father of the household, okay, who has the ability to make this decision, eino mutar lebamakom she'osin ktziot. This is the point. The figs are in the household. They're in the yard. So the children, they're not going to eat the figs because they know it's for the muktzeh. So therefore, they're not going to decide and say we're going to have them for dinner. So therefore, they can eat arai. They can take one or two. As on the other hand, the balabai can decide all these figs we're going to keep them for the household. We're not going to dry them out. So therefore, since it's his dat that makes that determination, he can only eat them when they're in the muktzeh. Different halacha. Hapoalim shimo. Let's say I have workers that are working with me. Okay, and they're working. They're not working on the figs. They're only transporting the figs. So therefore, min haTorah, they don't have the right to eat. So therefore, can they now eat arai? I brought it into the yard. Can they eat arai or not? Says the Mishnah. Bisman she'ein lahem ala bizonot. Okay, so if the question is, did I make a deal with them and say, I'll feed you today as part of your pay? They don't eat min haTorah. We've learned that in the previous Mishnah because they're not working with the figs. So if I didn't make a deal to feed them, ochli mupturim, then they are allowed to eat, because if I say to them, listen, I don't owe you, you can take some figs, then it's not mekach umemkar, it's not business, I didn't sell them the figs as part of their salary, rather I'm giving it to them as a gift. Matana is not kovea the Maasrot. But avalim yesh lehem ala bezono, but if we made a deal as part of their work that they will be fed, then they should not be able to eat until they take off trumot Maasrot. Why? Then it's a commerce, an action of commerce. And vis-a-vis a commerce, it's considered nigmara melachto. It's considered that therefore they are nigmara melachto leMaasrot, kovea leMaasrot, shalokech ena b'mikro. Because someone who buys something, he wants what he bought, and therefore the worker, if it's part of his deal, part of his salary, cannot eat until he takes from the figs until he takes off trumot and Maasrot. Stop here if you have any comments or questions. As always, rspotu@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, of Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman.